Hey, we're the Flick Chicks.
I'm Anne.
And I'm Monica.
And this is the podcast where we head over to Germany a couple years ago.
Just a few years ago.
Yeah, just a few. Just
Around
not
the
a big
block.
deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All
You
right.
could not guess what movie we're recapping by the title or by that hint. We're going to be talking about Jojo Rabbit.
Yes, so today's episode of Roasting Movies by the Fire, we'll be roasting the movie that got a lot of buzz during this award season, I feel like.
Yeah,
And
critically acclaimed.
I had not heard about it until I started watching the awards and stuff like that.
I heard about it from a friend. I didn't think much of it. I was like, whatever. And then I saw it in the Best Picture nominees and just a lot of other awards. I'm proud to say I've now watched 2 of the 7 movies that were nominated.
Oh yeah, wait, have I even seen any other ones?
You saw Parasite.
Yeah, other than Parasite.
And Jojo Rabbit. There was the movie with Leo DiCaprio.
Once Upon a Time in
Brad
Hollywood.
Pitt. Yeah,
I didn't
or
watch that
something.
one.
No, I didn't. Joker, I still haven't watched.
No.
Which is problematic. I'll go do that at some point.
Yeah.
For me, I should,
But no,
I
I
call
think,
myself a
yeah,
fan.
I think this is the second Best Picture nominee I've watched after Parasite. I haven't watched.
Yeah.
So
Literally, I haven't
better late
seen
than
any
ever.
of them. Yeah, and I really don't think, other than Joker for me personally, I don't think I'll see any of the other ones.
no.
honest.
Oh no, I watched Little Women. Oh my god, I forgot.
Oh, yes.
I'm looking at the list right now. I forgot that I watched Little Women.
Nice. Good stuff.
Anyways, yeah. So I, unlike other ones like Parasite and etc. that I knew about before award season, I did not know about this one until award season. But it's written and directed by Taika Waititi.
Yes.
I think that's how you pronounce it. He directed, wrote it, and he's also in the movie. So look at him being
He's
all rounder.
Yeah. He's like
So-
Tyler Perry, but did it right. No
Funnier.
offense to Tyler Perry. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I guess we'll just get right into it. So as usual,
will.
we'll be doing a little recap, and then we'll talk about what we liked and what we didn't like, give it a grade, and then fun question time. Yay.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, the fun question time is before the grade, but
Oh, is it?
Yeah, we usually do
Oh,
that.
shoot, I forgot. Anyways,
Yeah.
remind me so I don't blurt out my grade before we're done.
Sure. Yep.
All right, so we start the movie by meeting Jojo, who is a 10-year-old German kid who's part.
He's so cute.
He's a really cute kid, but he's part of the Nazi youth group.
Not so cute.
I guess that's what it is. It's kind of like a mini.
No, the Nazi youth is what they call them.
Yeah, the mini Nazis for little
Mhm.
children. And yeah, they're training the kids to become Nazi soldiers, and he's talking to Adolf Hitler, which is huh?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that as I'm doing a dramatic reading here, Anne.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm not asking you. So he's talking to Adolf Hitler. Interesting. Adolf Hitler's giving him a pep talk, but it's actually just his imaginary friend version of Adolf Hitler, because this kid really wants to be a Nazi. He wants to be the best Nazi and go to war and fight the Jews or whatever Nazis do.
Fight for Germany. That's what he wants to do.
Wait, what?
He wants to fight for Germany. That's
Right, yeah,
Fight for
exactly.
Germany.
And yeah, so he's talking to those his little imaginary version of Hitler, and I just wanted to point this out because I found this really funny, how the movie opens up with a German version of "I Want to Hold Your Hand" by the Beatles.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And
Wow.
it's showing Hitler walking through and screaming girls or screaming for him as if
Oh
he's
yeah,
the Beatles.
I did see that.
I just thought that was really funny.
Oh, I didn't know it was a German version of. I didn't realize.
I was
the song
watching it with
that.
subtitles, and I was looking at the lyrics, and I was like, "This," and the song sounded like it, but I was like, "This is really interesting."
Wow, nice touch.
Yeah, nice touch. So Jojo and his friend Yorkie go to a 2-day training camp, Nazi youth thing, where they're being taught how to shoot a gun and fight and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's run by this guy who's named Captain Klenzendorf.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just call him Captain K. Yeah, Captain
Yeah.
K. It's run by the guy named Captain K and some other people. Rebel Wilson's there. She's this lady who also runs the camp, and then his little his little right hand man. And you could tell that all these kids are pretty brainwashed Nazis. I mean, him and Yorkie are talking in their tent, and he's like, "If I ever saw a Jew, I would kill it like that," or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah. So he really wants to fight in the war and he wants to fight in the war like his dad and whatever. So then the next day at camp, the camp counselors, or like these little teenage like soldiers or whatever, are like, which one of you can kill like people or is ready to kill people? And then Jojo's like, me. So like, okay, kill this rabbit. And he's like, no. So he doesn't. He's too scared to kill the rabbit. So they all make fun of him and call him Jojo Rabbit because he's scared like a rabbit. Whatever. And they actually end up killing the rabbit, which is like, oh. So
yeah.
It was a cute rabbit. And then Jojo's like super sad because everyone's making fun of him, going, Jojo Rabbit, Jojo Rabbit. So he runs into the woods, and he has another little pep talk with imaginary Hitler. And he's like, no, you have to do this. You have to be brave. Like, rabbits are strong and whatever. And he's like, yeah. So he runs back to the camp. And I feel like if people haven't seen this movie yet, they might have seen this like scene, like it's in the trailer, I'm pretty sure, where he's like slow motion running with Hitler running next to him, like making all these like funny dance moves and stuff like that. And he runs back to the camp, grabs a hand grenade out of Captain K's hand because he was teaching the kids how to throw a hand grenade, throws it, and then it bounces off a tree, lands right in front of Jojo and explodes.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here thinking, like, did this kid just die? Like, I'm confused. But no, he survives somehow. He gets like rushed to the hospital and he has like just like this little leg injury and like some scars on his face. Whenever in movies, whenever they're like, oh my God, his face is deformed, he has like a tiny little scar, which I never really understood. But because the same thing happened in Game of Thrones when Tyrion Lannister had that like scar across his face.
Oh yeah,
like, you're mutilated. I'm like, okay, let's calm down.
But this one, I could tell that they were like making fun of it. Like they were like, he was like, I'm so ugly, and they're like,
he literally had
his
like
mom was like,
faintest little
it's not
red.
that big.
Yeah,
deal.
he's like has like this super faint like red mark across his face, and that's.
But then like at one point, not to jump ahead, someone else is like, oh, this ugly deformation on his face.
yeah.
I love it.
I was like, not really, but okay. And sometimes I feel like it's just not, you can't even see it most of the time. So anyway,
I know.
So where was I at? Yeah, so he wakes up in the hospital and we meet his mom, who's played by Scarlett Johansson. And she's like this super like bubbly, like optimistic person. And she's like super anti-war, but she obviously supports Jojo in being a Nazi, I guess. They never really got into that. Just the fact that she doesn't really like the war and whatever. So she brings him to the office, like Captain K's office, I guess, and tells them like, you need to give him something to do. Like he wants to be like included. So give him a job.
Because Captain K gets demoted from his position because he,
let that happen.
Happen.
So then he gets tasked with putting up like propaganda posters and handing out conscription letters and stuff like that. And when he's like doing all that, he sees his mom in the town square. They never really say what she is doing. Like she says she has to go to work, but we don't really know why. He like sees his mom in the town square, and then they're like looking at this like row of people who have just been hanged in the town square, and they're just kind of like, interesting, just looking at him. And then once he finishes that task, he gets back home and he's looking for his mom, but she's not there. So he's like walking around the house calling for her, whatever. He ends up in his older sister's room. So his sister, her name is Inga, and she died some time ago. They don't tell us when, but she died of like the influenza virus. So it's just like he used to have a sister, but he goes into her room that's still like completely set up, and he discovers like a door in the wall. So that the wall like opens up and he sees a girl in there, like a teenage girl. So he like freaks out, falls down the stairs, whatever. And then she completely plays along with it and starts acting super creepy, like some horror movie creepy, like hand gestures and stuff like that. And she tells him like, he's like, are you a ghost? And she's like, yes, I'm a ghost. Like she's like playing along with it. But it turns out she's just a Jewish girl that Jojo's mom is hiding in the house. And she actually used to be a classmate of Inga. And her parents presumably got sent away to concentration camp, so they had to. So Jojo's mom took her in and is hiding her in the wall of Inga's bedroom. So basically, she threatens to kill Jojo with his own knife if he tells anyone, because she stole his knife. So she's like, yeah, if you tell anyone, your mom will be killed. So don't do that. I will kill you.
Because I'll tell them that you.
I'll tell them that you helped me. So both of you would get killed anyways. So Jojo's like, okay, like fine, because this teenage girl is like pinning him against the wall basically with a knife. So then later he goes back to where she's hiding, and I guess the kind of sequence of events is kind of confusing, but at one point he is back with like Captain K and all the Nazi youth people, and then they're kind of lamenting about how they can never tell Jews apart from regular quote unquote regular people. They're always like, oh, I can never tell which one, like, and then they kind of say something like, oh, well, don't they have horns? And they're like, oh, what's under their hair? Stuff like that. So Jojo's like, I'm gonna write a book about Jewish people, so that we can have all the information, so we can be able to tell them apart, basically.
Yeah.
So he goes back to Elsa, and he's telling her to give him all the like Jewish secrets and whatever, like, tell me everything about Jewish people. And she's like, oh yeah, like, we used to live in caves, like we grow our horns at the age of 21, and like we can read each other's minds and stuff like that. And he's like, oh my god, no way. And he's like writing all this down and drawing things and whatever. And then she also tells him she has a fiance named Nathan, and once the war is over, she wants to reunite with him, and they're gonna go live in Paris. And then Jojo says something interesting. He's like, well, you would turn your back on your country? And she's like, well, it turned on me first. So he's kind of like, interesting. So he's like starting to contemplate, like, interesting, like, this is what this girl has been through. So through all this like stuff happening, imaginary Hitler, like, he starts having he has conversations with this imaginary Hitler, and he's starting to get mad at Jojo for becoming friends with Elsa, because like,
for sympathizing,
obviously he's like
her.
He's like, no, she's a monster, like, she's a Jew, why are you doing that, whatever. And Jojo's kind of mad at his mom, because he can't tell her why he's mad, because then she'd be telling him that he knows about Elsa. But he's like mad at her for kind of not being patriotic enough for hiding the Jewish girl in her house. So he's starting to like take it out on her, but she keeps being like, no, well, the war is going to be over soon, like, we have to be positive, like, this is how, like, whatever, we need to live in this world. Gives him a little pep talk, pretends to be his dad, because we still don't know where his dad is. Like, presumably he's like, Jojo thinks he's fighting in Italy, but like, we don't really have that much information. So yeah, pretty much. And then one day Jojo gets tasked with collecting metal. He's just kind of walking around in a little robot suit, and he's like, pots and pans for Hitler. And he sees his mom, like, he kind of sees his mom from the back, and she's like putting out these little signs around town that say "Free Germany" on it. So basically she's doing some shady business in Germany, because like, obviously that's a punishable crime, I guess, to be against the country. It's
considered treason.
Yeah, pretty much. So he runs into Yorkie again, who now became like an actual soldier, even though he's only like 11, and he has like a gun strapped to his back and everything. And he kind of just tells Jojo like, oh, well, I saw some Jews, and like, I don't really see what all the fuss is about. Like, they seem super normal. That's just like a little interaction they had. And then he gets home, and he's talking to Elsa, and she's like, Jojo, you are not a Nazi. Like, you are just a kid who likes swastikas and wants to be part of a club. Like, you're not an actual Nazi. And Jojo's like starting to be really confused about what he believes in, and stuff like that, because he always thought, no, I'm a Nazi, I want to be a Nazi, but now he's kind of questioning what it really means to be a Nazi and stuff like that. So, and also you could tell that Jojo's starting to have a little crush on Elsa. He has like butterflies so in his stomach. They showed that he has like butterflies in his stomach. And then someone knocks at the door, and it's this like captain, this random like Nazi captain guy with a bunch of other investigators, and they're coming to do a routine inspection on the house. And like, Elsa had to go run upstairs and hide. So they're looking around, and Jojo's super nervous because obviously they might find her. But Captain K like shows up right away, like on his bike, like super out of breath, and he's like, oh, hey guys, like, I'm just dropping by or whatever. And they're like, okay. So then they're inspecting the house, and like, the captain, not Captain K, the other one, asks, oh, Jojo, like, where's your mom? And he's like, oh, I don't know, like, she's in town. And he's like, well, what does she do? And he's like, I'm not really sure. So you're kind of like, okay. And then they are like, well, you are wearing your uniform, but where's your knife? Because every Nazi youth, whatever, member has a knife. And he can't really say where it is, because obviously Elsa stole it. But then Elsa just shows up, and she's like, I have it. And then Jojo's like, what are you doing? So she's like, well, they're like, who are you? And she's like, well, I'm Inga. I'm Jojo's older sister. So she's posing as Inga, because apparently not many people even know that she died. So it's super uncomfortable, because like, all the inspector dudes are like, oh, Heil Hitler, and she has to like say it back to them, which is like super uncomfortable, because obviously she's Jewish. So she's telling them, yeah, I took the knife because it's like, I'm keeping Jojo from getting into my room or whatever. So then they're like, okay, well, let's go inspect your room. So they're looking around, and then the investigator captain is like, well, let me see your papers. So then Captain K pulls out her passport, I guess, ID thing, and says like, when was this photo taken? What is your birthday? Stuff like that, kind of quizzing her, and she says it, and he's like, okay, correct. So they're all like super relieved. They find also the book that Jojo was writing about Jews, and they're all like laughing about it because they think it's super hilarious. And then they leave, and then Elsa's like freaking out because she's like, oh my god, like what if they catch on and they find out that Inga's actually dead or whatever. And Jojo's like, no, it's okay. And then she's like, well, actually, I got the birthday wrong. I said May 1st, but it was actually May 7th. So Captain K was actually helping them, like he was covering for them. So and later that day, Jojo's walking around town, and he actually stumbles upon his mom hanging in the town square, which is like super like, what the hell? That's like super random.
So dark, because you were like, oh, following this butterfly, and then it's like,
and then he sees his mom's shoes, and
which they zoomed in on her shoes a lot throughout the show, and I was like,
throughout the movie. Well, it's like I was gonna say it's a recurring theme where he like Jojo can't tie his shoes. Actually, like in the very beginning of the movie, his Adolf Hitler imaginary friend is like, I mean, you're 10 years old, you can't tie your shoes, but that's okay. So he like
you're going to work.
Yeah, he's like he's like hugging his mom's body, and he's like, he sees her shoes untied, so he tries to tie it, but he can't, and he gets super frustrated. And then he goes home, and he goes up to Elsa and stabs her with his knife, but it's like super blunt, so it doesn't really do anything. Like it doesn't break her skin barely, and he like breaks down crying.
He basically pokes her with a knife. If anything.
And she's like trying to comfort him, and she tells him that how she ended up living with Jojo's mom. Like she was bounced around from different, like hiding in different people's houses. Her parents got sent to concentration camp, and she was telling Jojo like, your mom didn't want you to know anything that would get you in trouble. So they're kind of just sitting there. It's like super sad. And she's like, well, and Jojo's like, what's the first thing you're gonna do when you're free? And she's like, I'm gonna dance. Basically that's what she said. She's like, yep, I'm just gonna dance. So you see like the progression over the next couple of days or weeks,
which was the same thing that his mom said that she would do.
Oh really? Yeah. Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, interesting. So we can see in the next couple like weeks or days, Jojo's like scavenging for food, like looking through garbage cans and stuff like that. He's not wearing his uniform, so he kind of just looks pretty like scraggly. But they're surviving in the house. There's this one scene where Jojo's eating like this super small plate of food, and then his Adolf Hitler imaginary friend's eating this giant like plate of like pig's head or whatever.
Unicorn head, yeah.
Oh yeah. So the days go by, but then one day their village starts getting attacked by the Russians, Americans, everyone. Like it's just basically starts attacking, and he runs into Yorkie, and he's like, okay, come and help me get this ammo, whatever. And then Yorkie tells him that Hitler committed suicide, and he's like, what? And he's like, yeah, well, we're basically kind of screwed because Hitler's dead, you know, and everyone's attacking us. So they run and hide from the bombs, and then they come across Rebel Wilson's character again, who's like super dark, but she's like,
she kills me.
She's strapping bombs to like the back of kids, and she's like, okay, go give that American a hug.
Yeah, go give the Americans hugs. Oh my goodness.
Super dark. And she's like giving Yorkie like a gun. And like shooting this like machine gun or whatever, and these like bombs are exploding, and then Jojo's all alone, but all the attacks are like all happening around him, and he sees a lot of kids like involved, so kids like shooting guns and stuff like that. And he also sees Captain K and his right hand man going into battle, so he runs away and he hides under a building, and then everything gets really quiet, and he comes out of hiding and he sees that the Americans have won, so they're like flying American flags and celebrating and whatever. And he sees a bunch of the Nazi captains, including the one that inspected his house, getting taken away as prisoners. So an American soldier sees Jojo, who's like, again, not wearing his uniform, just wearing like something super scraggly, and he like pulls him and brings him to where all the other German soldiers are, like the prisoners are. And he sees Captain K, and they have he's like all bloodied and his hands are tied. And they have like a little heartfelt moment kind of thing. But then when the soldiers come back, he pretends that Jojo's a Jew, and he's like, get away from me, Jew, whatever, so that he can kind of like save him. So the American soldier like kicks Jojo out, and he's like, go home. And he hears like some gunfire, so they probably just killed Captain K.
Yes, for sure.
So then he runs into Yorkie again, who's also looking super scraggly, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go home and like cuddle my mom, basically. And throughout the weeks that him and Elsa were kind of just surviving, he started calling Elsa like his girlfriend because he likes her. So he's like, okay, what was I gonna say? So Yorkie's like, oh, you can go home to your girlfriend now, like she's free, she can leave. And Jojo's like, oh shoot, like he's like super sad. So he's like, okay, I have to go. And he goes back home, and he tells Elsa that the Germans actually won. So she's like sitting behind the wall, obviously hearing everything that's going on, and she's like, okay, what happened? Like, who won? And he's like, oh, we won, like the Germans won. So he's like, I'm sorry. And obviously they're really sad because Jojo doesn't want her to leave, so he's lying to her. So he's like, oh, but I have a letter from Nathan, because early in the movie he like forged a couple of letters from quote unquote Nathan, saying like, oh well, I found another woman, like whatever, like basically just kid stuff. He was just like forging letters from Nathan. So he's like, oh, I have another letter from Nathan saying like, Jojo has an escape plan for you, and you're gonna come meet me in Paris, and Jojo will be fine on his own, that kind of thing. So then they're ready to go outside, and he's like, okay, hold on. So then he ties her shoe. So he finally like figures out how to tie.
But she also
shoes.
reveals Nathan is dead.
Oh yeah, that's super important. I have it written down too, but I forgot that. So after he writes her this letter, she's like, well, Nathan actually died last year. So and he's like, oh well, that's weird, who sent you all those other letters? And she's like, okay. She's like, thank you, Jojo. So they're about to leave, and they're like standing at the doorway, and he ties her shoe, which is like, oh my god, yay, he finally figured out how to tie her shoe. Oh, and before they leave too, Jojo's like, I love you. And she's like, oh, I love you too, Jojo, but as a younger brother, obviously. Yeah, because she's like way older. She's like 17 and he's like 10. I keep forgetting things. Okay, I keep going backwards, but before they even get outside, Jojo also has an argument with Hitler, his like imaginary Hitler, who also has like a giant wound in his head from obviously shooting himself. Blowing his brain out. And he gets super mad, and he's like, no, I don't want to do this anymore, and he like kicks Hitler out the window, pretty much. Okay, so finally they're at the doorway. He ties her shoes, and then they get outside, and Elsa's like, what? And she looks outside, and it's all quiet, like everyone's chilling, like the American soldiers drive by with their flag, and they're like, woo, yeah, America. And then she is like, okay, obviously he lied to me. So she walks back to Jojo, slaps him across the face, and he's like, okay, I deserve that. And then they dance, and that's it. Yeah, they just start kind of grooving out in the doorway, and then the movie's done. So that is it.
Jojo Rabbit for y'all. Recap.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we could talk about what we liked
and what we didn't like. Yeah, sure. I'm gonna be honest. It's probably gonna reveal my feelings. There's like, I really tried to find things I didn't like in this movie, and I couldn't. Like,
me too. Like I was trying. It's not like, okay, I didn't watch it, and after watching it, think like, oh my god, this is the best movie I've ever seen in my life. But I just couldn't think of anything that I didn't like about it.
No, you know?
Like there's nothing to not like.
No, like there's nothing to. Like, I wouldn't say there's anything they could have done differently. Like, if you don't like this movie for, like, maybe, like, controversial reasons, that's just, like, you don't believe this movie should have been made. That's a completely different conversation. Yeah. But as for what it was trying to do and what it did, like, I think it did it really well. I don't have any, like, real complaints.
Like, for the things, I guess we can start, like, things we didn't like, quote unquote, I guess. I just wrote stuff like, oh, well, I mean, they could have done something more with like the cinematography, I guess. Like, I like the part where they showed the butterflies on his stomach. I wish they had done more of that.
Yeah, that was cute.
But like, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, because I really liked, well, going to things I did like, I watched a couple interviews and stuff after, and I liked the colorfulness of the entire like place, and apparently that was really accurate to Germany back then. Like, people really liked color because they were low-key trying to cover up what was actually happening. So it was like the environment was more like, you know, bright and lively than them. Also, what I did like, I'm not a Scarlett Johansson fan, but I loved her in this movie.
No,
like,
she was. I feel like she was really like good for that character. Yeah, but yeah, like I'm not the biggest fan of hers, but yeah, it made sense.
I'd never seen her like in a role where I was like, yeah, like she's like one of my fave characters in this.
Oh, that was one of my things too. I wish they had shown a little bit. I know it was kind of the point to not show a lot about like what the mom did or anything like that, but I kind of just wish she was like more developed a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's the like downfall of obviously having it from a kid's perspective, because that's pretty realistic. Like, I was
literally gonna say, I like how, well, if we're going into things that we did like too, I liked how it was like the whole thing too with Hitler's like character playing like his subconscious. It was all really like childlike, and you could tell it was like from a kid's perspective. Yeah. And I don't know, I personally like dark humor. Like, I find
same,
like,
I love
really
it. I think
dark
it's hilarious.
humor, so I really like that.
Yeah, like I can see maybe the controversy behind it, but I'm like, it's so ridiculous that I don't know. It clearly, if you're mad at it, it's like because you haven't seen it. Because, like, for example, if people are like mad about the Adolf Hitler, I'm like, it's because you haven't seen it. Because the portrayal of him is so.
I feel like I might have said that in. I don't know if it's in one of our episodes that we've done, or maybe it was in the episode that we didn't post, our Oscars like pilot episode.
I think probably.
Yeah, we've recorded an episode for the Oscars, like Best Picture nominees and stuff like that, but we didn't post it. But I think that's what I said. Because the audio was weird. Yeah, but I think that's what I said in it. I was like, oh, I don't want to watch Jojo Rabbit because why would they put Hitler in it? But I didn't know that he was an imaginary character kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, I knew that Taika Waititi was the one playing him, and he's actually Jewish. So I was like, it kind of gave me a clue that there's no way he's actually playing like a real Hitler.
Well, I knew that it was. I knew that Hitler's in it. I knew that he was playing it, but I thought he was playing actual Hitler. So I was like, but still, why would you have actual Hitler in there? But the fact that he's like his imaginary friend makes so much more sense.
It does, and it's like accurate to the. Like it's like it's not there just for shock value. It actually makes sense for. Because I don't like
who
that
like really
either.
wants to be a Nazi and like
because I don't like when they just put stuff to be like ooh shocking. It's like no, this actually is an important element in the story, and it like makes sense. Like if you're being brainwashed and like you're being given this propaganda, this guy is gonna be your hero.
Exactly,
obviously.
like he has posters of him in his room and stuff like that. So it's like it makes sense. But yeah, no, like there wasn't really anything I didn't like in general. I was just like it was a solid movie. I don't think like I said, I didn't like watch it and be like, oh my god, this was the best movie I've ever seen in my life. Do I think it should have been nominated for Best Picture? I don't know.
I think so. I think it deserved the nomination.
I haven't seen enough movies that didn't get nominated. Like I feel like there might be a couple movies that maybe deserved a nomination a bit more. But like it was a good movie.
What?
Like I haven't watched like movies like, for example, The Farewell, but I heard The Farewell was really good. You know that one with Awkwafina?
No, I haven't seen it, but I
haven't seen it, but that's what I'm saying. I feel like I'd have to watch movies that maybe got like people say got snubbed, and then I'll figure it out. But like,
but I don't know if you hadn't. I wouldn't say Jojo
me,
Rabbit is the one to take out though. Like I could see the other movies in the list to take out over Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, like I guess maybe this year like the competition maybe was just not as like strong, I guess.
I don't think it was like super like there's nothing in 2019 that to me goes like of course like this should have like I didn't feel strongly about a lot of movies really that's
what
year.
I'm saying, and that's why I feel like everyone was super like in agreement with Parasite winning, because all the other ones like they weren't bad movies, but they were just like there's nothing like really special about it, you know what I mean? And that's why like Jojo Rabbit, like I said, it's a good movie. I just like if you had not told me that it was a Best Picture nominee and then like I watched it and you told me that after, I would have been like, oh really? Like I would not expect
really
that, I think.
I think we have difference. I really liked it.
Maybe it's just because like when you think of Best Picture, you think of like something extra, like either some super extra like good cinematography or like a super interesting story.
I think I maybe I'm one of those people who I don't like when they only think like that. I guess I don't like the snobbiness of Oscars, and I like that they kind of moved away from that, because before they used to nominate movies people have never even heard of. Like you were like, what? Like why did this win? So even if it's like the movies, I still think the movies that win are pretty obscure movies, and that's fine. But in terms of nominees, like I'm glad that they're acknowledging that like there's not only one type of movie that can,
that makes sense. No, I
win.
agree.
Yeah, because I feel like especially like at least for comedies and things like that, they didn't really take them as seriously.
That's true.
And which is weird to me, because I think the only other comedy I can think of that was nominated for Best Picture like recent, and by recently I mean like in modern times, so like the 2000s was Bridesmaids, which I didn't even think
that got nominated for Best Picture.
I'm pretty sure, or something like big. Like, and I was like, what? That movie? Like, serious? That's the movie where I'm like, where did this come from? Let me like fact check, but I'm pretty sure.
I'm Googling it right now, but I'm not sure. I didn't know it had 90% of Rotten Tomatoes. I knew it was good, but it just seems like all those other.
It wasn't. I don't know. To me, I don't like that.
It got nominated for Best Original Screenplay.
Oh, it's Best Original. Okay, my bad. But still, I thought like I was like, really? I don't know. I just feel like that's not my type of comedy, as in like super slapstick.
I was gonna say slapstick. Poop
their pants. You know,
that's literally what happens in the movie.
Yes, exactly. And I'm like, this is what. Okay, I'm not 12. Thanks. But, all right.
But anyways, no, like I said, I think it's a solid movie. I think it's good. Maybe if I like kind of have more time, because I just watched it yesterday, so same. Maybe if I have more time to kind of sit with it, I'll my opinion about it would change, but I still think it's a great movie. It was good. I enjoyed myself. The kids were super cute. really good acting.
They were adorable. Another thing I liked the relationship they built between Elsa and Jojo was very like that of a kid. Like I just feel like they really stayed true to like this is how a kid would see stuff. Like
exactly
him like hating her at first, but then he's not, before he even realizes his feelings. You didn't mention, but in his book he had like a bunch of drawings of Nathan like dying.
Oh right.
Being
oh my God,
killed and stuff.
When the captain
super violent.
Dude was reading it, he's like, Nathan being eaten by a bear, Nathan being like roasted on a stick or whatever. And that was so funny.
So I'm like, that's such like a little boy like attitude of like, ew, I don't like her, but then like doing all these things that like point to like liking her.
And at the end, literally not even saying I like you, being like I love you.
It was so like,
no, it's okay. Like
and it was so cute where he was like, I know you only love me like a brother, but still. And he was adorable. I just thought. And he was a good kid, like, you know,
like you could tell, like it's not like he had bad intentions. He just thought that was what he was supposed to do, and he was like, that's what he was taught, obviously, because no kid is born being like, oh, Jews, ew.
Yeah,
but it's funny because like everyone around him, sorry, but
it's
just funny because like he wanted to believe it so badly that like Jews were like this and did this and whatever, but everyone around him, even his friend who was in the Nazi like youth thing, was like, no, they're actually just normal people.
Yeah,
and he just kept wanting to, and he kept wanting to believe it. But
no, I was just gonna say I do agree with you that I wish we could have known more about the mom, maybe after her death. I feel like that could have been done. I wish they would have like had a little bit of like a, because it went super fast from like the mom dying to right away the village got attacked. Like I kind of wish they went a little bit more into the backstory. Like when Captain K was talking to him, I feel like that could have been a time to be like because you know obviously he was somewhat aware of what was happening. Like he was in on it a little bit. They
didn't really explain why Captain K covered for them. Like why was he in on it?
So this is my theory.
He seemed like he didn't like him at first. So.
Clearly he had a relationship with the mom because he was like, oh my gosh, your mom's gonna kill me. That was the first thing he said. Like he's like, your mom's gonna kill me, and she was so comfortable, you know, pushing, kneeing him in the balls. So I feel like they have some kind of previous interaction. So that was, but the reason I kind of thought is they definitely hinted that he and the other guy were having a relationship, right?
Wait, his right-hand man?
Yeah, like they were gay for each other, if you will.
The right-hand man, by the way, I feel like we never talk about him. He kind of was just there, but he's the guy who played
Theon Greyjoy
in Game of Thrones.
No, there's a part where he brought him literal German shepherds, and
I remember that. Yeah, that's funny.
He screamed at him, and then he was like, "I'm sorry," and he's like, "No, it's fine." And then they were like about to kiss, like it was very obvious.
Why do I not remember that? I literally just watched it.
So the point was, Hitler also hated gay people.
Right.
He was also killing gays. He was killing Jewish people. He was killing black people. Any minority, really. He was on that, you know? So I feel like maybe that was a small hint towards, like, he's already a guy who's in danger, could be. Right. Like, you know, if he was found out for being gay, he would be killed, too.
Exactly. So he kind of felt sympathy for them, maybe. Yeah,
I could see, like, him and the mom being, like, kind of on the same page of, like, we don't like what's happening here, you know?
That's
because
true.
It's not good for him, for his like.
But then like,
life.
Why would he be a army captain dude like teaching kids how to fight? Like, you know,
I just feel like that's with his whole, he's not in the army, so he hasn't been doing anything.
I guess,
like literally. But I do agree, like it's that's speculation.
I wish they would have
obviously.
told us. Like I wish they would have went a little bit more into either his backstory, the mom, both of them, the dad.
I just feel like they could have easily said the dad.
Like,
I get
they
it.
kind of just mentioned it once. Like they said when the mom was like working and his dad was somehow involved, but that's all they said.
Yeah,
like I was
like confused. I feel like they should have said like. He should have maybe just said like you, me, and your dad. Like, wait, sorry, your mom, your dad, and I all went to like college together or something. For example, I know it's probably not accurate because it's back then.
Did they do college back then?
Yeah, I don't even know. But they all went to school together. If you could say that, and they were like long lost friends, and then maybe like they found themselves in a situation like, for example, maybe that the Elsa was hiding in like their common friend's house. And like they kind of agreed to like, you know, keep it a secret between the three of them, kind of thing.
I mean, because also they kind of brushed over how the mom even found her, because she said like, I was staying with a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, and then and then your mom took me in, but they didn't say how. I just feel like they could have went into that a little bit more, just like a small. I didn't need detail. I think just a,
but I feel like they should have been like
scene. I don't know,
a little thing. just like maybe just I feel like Captain K just telling him what the tea was, because he literally told him stuff before he died. So I feel like that could have been easily like, oh, your mom is, especially like when she's like, your mom is a really good person. He said that. I feel like he could have been like, I've known your mom for a long time, and
your dad too,
one of the best people, and your dad too, and they're one of the best people I know. That's all you need to know. Like, you come from greatness, something like that. And before he dies, that doesn't, like, I don't need to know all the details, but at least it would give me like, okay, they knew each other, and this is why he was willing to help in some way. But I definitely think the gay thing was a big.
That was an interesting. That would be an interesting side plot.
I feel like that was a big hint to why he would not be a bad. And I mean bad in quotations.
Yeah, because exactly. It's like he was supposed to be quote unquote bad, but they didn't really explain why he wasn't.
No,
pretty much it. But anyways, so I guess, do we go to fun question time first and then grade?
Yes, fun question time.
Okay. So as we already touched on a little bit, Taika Waititi, who wrote, directed, and is in the movie, is Jewish, and it's like even funnier because he portrays Adolf Hitler. Kind of like, and you can see it kind of as like a reclamation kind of thing. Like, yes. Yeah. So if you were to make your own satirical movie, what would it be about? And or who would you portray?
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. I have to think about that. Do you go first? Because I have to think, right?
I also kind of had to think, but the first thing that could come to my mind, like if I personally had to like quote unquote reclaim something, maybe I would be like, I'm trying to think of, it's hard to say it. Okay, here's what mine would be. So mine would be this is like super, again, dark. We're talking like dark comedy. It has to be something like this movie. Yeah. But I'm thinking a bit more modern times where like post 9/11.
Oh, yikes.
You know, so you may know, if you're not familiar with US politics, I guess, or history. I don't know if this is history, not that long ago, but the Iraq War started after 9/11 because I'm pretty sure George Bush, if I'm not mistaken, declared war, I guess, something like that. So my movie would be about like a kid in post 9/11 who's now like super racist against like Middle Eastern people.
Oh, that would be so good.
And I would play imaginary George Bush.
Oh my gosh, Monica, that's a great idea. Write that down. What do you mean? We should cut this out of the podcast
so no one can steal.
Oh my goodness.
So I guess
that's so clever.
So it's like a modern take on it, I guess. So he's not technically being brainwashed, but not in the same way, not in such an obvious way as like the Nazis were, but like by the media, by the war that
media
started.
Would be so good, like
that kind of
thing. being like this Caucasian tall man bombed a hospital yesterday, but he's probably crazy. Now going on to Muslim people, they bombed literally
like an early 2000s like kid who maybe a couple years after 9/11, there's still kind of that feeling of like and then I'd play like a George Bush, I guess. That's
you could have so much fun with the media being stupid. Like I feel like you could really show like
it could be like super exaggerated.
So biased.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
like they'd be like, ugh, they say that this young Muslim teen male has like a tail coming out of his back, like something super stupid, like how they did it on Jojo. That would be so good. Or it could be
something like, oh yeah, well because they used to say like in Jojo Rabbit, they were like, oh Jewish kids, like they said something about Russians. They're like they have sex with dogs and like do stuff like that. Yes. It could be something like that where it's like that kind of thing. I mean, I'm not Muslim, something but I mean ridiculous. I am Middle Eastern, so I feel like that could work.
Yeah. So, no, for sure. But you would talk about the prejudice against Middle Eastern people in that
general
movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's good. Oh, I don't know if I could fall with that. Okay, this is a little more obscure, but I think I would be Abe Lincoln.
What?
And during the Civil War, okay, he freed the slaves, right?
Right.
And a lot of people think it's like, because he wanted to, but he really didn't want to. It's just because they had to, because of like his hands were tied, right? So I feel like we could have like racist little South, Confederate flag, wearing kid, and he's like maybe instead of like how Adolf Hitler turned like on him, I think Abe would turn on the kid. Kind of, like he'd be like, we gotta set them free, and he's like, no, why
right,
set them free?
See, I forgot an important
to.
part of my hypothetical movie.
What?
Because you know how in Jojo Rabbit the mom is hiding a Jewish girl.
Yes.
So I'm trying to think like,
oh, how would that work?
How would that work? So I guess like the kid, maybe I don't want to say like his mom would take in a Muslim kid or something like that, but maybe like
they could take in a refugee family. That would make sense. No,
maybe, or maybe he gets like a new classmate. That's like a
that's true.
And then he sees
the classmate. Like a little more modern.
Yeah, and he sees the classmate like getting bullied, I guess.
No, mine would be fully like they're trying to help these slave people escape to the north. That'd probably be the plot there.
That makes sense.
And because that's the only places they were free, kind of.
Yeah.
So I think his person would be. I'm only thinking of Abe Lincoln because I can't think of any like like who would like a racist like pro-slavery be a fanatic of at the time. I can't really think of.
Maybe
so
like George Washington. I don't know.
I don't know. So I'm thinking like no, they're friends with Abe Lincoln. Maybe they have like a devil and a angel. Maybe Abe Lincoln is the quote unquote.
That reminds me of like an episode
angel.
of Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. Do you remember that show?
Yeah.
Where like I think it was like President's Day, or like you know how he used to get like little people on his shoulder.
Yeah, he did.
At one point, he had Lincoln on his shoulder. I'm pretty sure.
He did. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's probably what I would do. Like, it would be a satire about like basically the Civil War and how that worked out. I think that's what I would do. But I was thinking another question just for fun is who would be your imaginary person in your head? Like what's like some type of concept that you have in your head? Obviously you probably don't have anyone like as bad as Hitler obviously, but I'm saying who would be like this person in your head that would personify like your inner thoughts and you're like, come on, like who would you be fighting with? I would think of
maybe the first person to come to my mind is like Beyonce. You know.
How do we have the same one?
Like Beyonce,
she tells me I'm beautiful every day.
Exactly. Beyonce in my head just being like, no girl, like you got it, like you're a fierce woman. Exactly. And me being like, no
no girl, like I don't know, and she'd be like, girl, who cares, you can't tie your shoelaces, strut. Like exactly. You know, that's what I would be thinking. No,
that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Beyonce.
Yeah, or maybe Obama. Like I just feel like he would be there and be like, yes we can.
We can.
Yeah, exactly.
We can do it.
I think it would be those two people.
Well, I wanted to like
maybe Morgan Freeman because he has a good voice.
Oh, Morgan Freeman would be good.
Right. He can narrate.
I like Morgan Freeman.
That would be a good one. And I think, but I would like it would be a super crude Morgan Freeman. Like he would be making a lot of stupid jokes and stuff. Because it's still in my head, so it had to be like him, but as like a version of me. Basically just walking around being like, what's going on? You know, that would be the equivalent.
Actually, but I think mine would be like Samuel L. Jackson.
Ooh, like, he'd be hilarious. What the is going on here?
Yeah, I just imagine him being like, what's with these snakes on this motherfucking plane?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah, okay, I'm not stupid.
It is. It is.
Anyways. Okay, no, I also had a second question.
Oh,
not really a question, but just a discussion in general.
Yeah, sure.
About like Nazis in movies, I guess. Like the ones that come to my mind is like, for example, Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
Yes.
And I don't know what it's called, but that one movie that just recently came out with like Amanda Stenberg.
Oh, where I know what you're talking about.
She like falls in love with the
where
Nazi
hands
boy.
Touch. Where hands
something
touch.
Like that. So
she's like a half black, half Jewish girl or something.
Yeah, and
she's like all the bad things.
She like falls in love with the Nazis. So like, how do you feel about like people, movies
the Book
portraying
Thief is another one.
The Book Thief, like people portraying, I guess, Nazis in different lights, I guess. Like personally, I kind of have a problem with ones where they fall in love with a Nazi. It's like you're trying to make it all romantic, like, oh my god, forbidden love. It's like, no, he's literally a Nazi. Like
So obviously there's a big difference between movies like Boys in Striped Pajama and Where Hands Meet or whatever that movie's called.
But I don't know, because even in Boy in the Striped Pajamas, it's like I feel like it's not like they're trying to sympathize or anything like that, but it's
Where Hands
kind
touch,
of similar where they're not falling in love, but obviously they become friends.
Yeah.
You know? So
but
it's like,
it's told through, okay, first of all, I feel like children, I think that's why they often do it through children, because they're like, children are only following what happens, right? I guess.
Isn't that kind of a way of being like, oh, well, they're just kids, like, it's okay, like, they don't know any better, but it's like kind of like,
I think it's okay with kids until they do something. That's just how I feel about that. So if a kid is like, you know, a racist or whatever, I don't think they're responsible for their actions until they can really tell from like I shouldn't say that though. They should still be. I don't know. I guess striped pajamas. Like general, the problem I didn't have with it is because I think it kind of redeemed itself because the kid died.
I guess
that's the part that was like okay with me. I was like, you know what?
But I just think in general, like a lot of them are obviously told from the perspective of the Nazi family usually, which is kind of like okay. Yes. That's what I'm saying. It's like why? What's the point of like trying to like humanize? I don't know.
I get what you're saying.
When you're trying, especially I think the thing with don't get me wrong, I love Boy in the Striped Pajamas, but whenever you're trying to show like, oh my god, this unlikely friendship between a Nazi and a Jew, it's like, first of all, I don't even think that would happen.
No,
at all.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of like the idea behind it is kind of
it's like, a little
okay,
unrealistic.
Yeah, it's unrealistic, and it's like okay, what's the point then? Like, are you trying to make it seem like oh well, Nazis aren't really that bad? Because it's definitely not the point to be like well, Jews aren't that bad because we know that. So it's like,
duh.
You know, so it's kind of just like...
No, I do understand what you're saying as in, like, why are we trying to, like,
make
humanize,
it all cute? Not even
make it all cute.
Humanize is kind of a bad word to use, but make it all cute, where it's like, oh, it's a cute story. Yes. Look, the Nazi isn't actually that bad. Like, that's always what you get from it. You don't get, like, much else. So.
Yeah. I think that happens with everything in history, though. It seems to be a trend. Like... they do that with slave movies all the time.
I was literally just about
There's
to
always
say,
like
it happens
a white
lot
savior
with, like,
person.
Exactly.
But it's like I won't deny there's always been people who helped. Like of course there were people
like even in the if you're talking about World War II, like
or
Anne Frank's
Nazis,
story and stuff like that. But
still
after a while
it's a little poignant that we're only showing those stories. Not only, but mostly showing those stories.
Like those are the ones that get the most buzz where it's like, oh, like it's like kind of exploiting like our emotions. Like we want to look at it and be like, oh, because it's these two little kids who are becoming friends. But it's like, you know, that's still a Nazi kid and that's still a kid in a concentration camp. So it's like,
yeah. But I watched this video that talked about it and they talked about like why maybe people have such fascination with making movies where like they do things like that, where they do kind of like show a better side, if you will, of that. And they just wanted, a lot of people are like, I guess they want to showcase the complexity of humans, you know, because they're just saying it's a little too simple. And I do agree to an extent. It is too simple to just show you like a bad guy. That's it. Boom, bang, period. And a lot of them they're just bad people doing bad things, right? But all those movies, we can't admit, they do show those people. It's just the people that we're following aren't those people. Because like, to be honest, why would we follow them? You know, like why would I watch a movie from the perspective of like a like psychopath who's going around killing Jews, or if it was from the point of view of a Jewish person, which they do, they have a lot of movies where it is a Jewish person.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of like another one right now where it's like Schindler's List, where it's like about a German couple that save all the refugees or whatever.
Oh, is that what it's about? Whoa, I thought it was an American guy. Or is that a different one? The one where he like finds out the code or something? Da Vinci Code? Is that what it's called?
Da Vinci Code. I don't think that has anything to
probably.
do with no, Schindler's List.
Wow.
I haven't watched it. I'm just looking at the premise right now where it's like a German businessman who together with his wife saved more than 1,000 mostly Polish Jewish refugees from the Holocaust by employing them.
But if it's a true story too, I must add, I am totally okay with it because
I guess
that sounds.
But it's like, why are those stories always being made into movies? You know,
the
ones where the quote unquote supposed to be bad people are saving the poor, unfortunate people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess the simple answer is people don't want to watch a movie where all bad stuff happens.
No, I'm not saying bad stuff has to happen, but why don't you show me one of those stories, but from the Jewish person's point of view?
I guess the thing is, you wouldn't have that movie without the people saving them, because the Jewish people who survived because they were saved. Like, that's just the sad truth about it.
It's a complex.
You just couldn't. Yeah, it's really complex. I think it's.
But anyways, it has honestly. I feel like it's not really the case in Jojo Rabbit. That's the whole point. I think they're trying to show from the Nazis' perspective, but they're being super ridiculous about it. So and it makes sense because the person who wrote it is Jewish. Yes, and he's writing like a comedy.
Exactly, and also
the point was to showcase how ridiculous the Nazis were.
how ridiculous they were, and to like stop hate, like showing how hate is so stupid. Like there's literally no like no proper motivation behind it. And
because I guess people would watch it.
He did a really good job.
Yeah, because I guess people watch it, especially with those scenes where they're being so blunt, and he's like, if I saw a Jew, I would kill it, and everyone probably watching is like, that's so stupid. But it's like,
yeah,
that still happens.
That's literally what they literally,
that's still
to this day,
to this day, and that's still what happened, even whether it's like super upfront like that, or whether it's like super
subtle
subconscious
or
subtle.
Yeah,
so it's kind of meant to be like that. But
yeah,
anyways, we're straying off topic a little bit.
We are really straying off topic.
But okay, so what grade would you give it?
So I don't think it's a surprise what grade I'm gonna give it, because I very much enjoyed it. I'm gonna give my first A+.
Really?
This podcast, yes.
Huh.
A+. I there's nothing I didn't like about it. I would rewatch it. Little boy was adorable. It was his first movie. I had no idea. His real name is Roman. Cute. ScarJo won me over. That's huge.
That's
okay.
Honestly surprising. I am not.
Yeah.
I don't really like her that much, but yeah.
I don't. But in this movie, she was so charming. I loved it. And I honestly want to be a mom like her. She was very playful. I don't think I'll be like that as a mom, but you know, I can dream. I really enjoyed it. It was so touching. I think that was the biggest thing, especially like I started crying when they were dancing together, just stupidly. Like I was like, they're free. Like I just, and I'm a sucker for a happy ending, you know, even though it was like a not so. I was really scared like the entire time that something was going to happen to her, like the entire time. Like I was really like, this is like a dark movie or something could happen to her. But I was really, it had me like, I watched the whole thing. There was never a dull moment for me. And I really enjoyed it, and I would watch it again. That's so fair. I would give it an A+.
I gave it an A just because like I wouldn't give an A+ unless like it went. I'm such a teacher like voice, but unless I went above and beyond, I wouldn't, because I consider like I don't associate these grades with a percentage. So like don't think A is like 80% and A+ is 100%. So it's like no, I just think like A is a great movie, and then A+ is like okay, it went above and beyond, like it did something like exceptionally good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would give it an A, just like it was a good movie. Like I didn't find anything wrong with it. It was great. But it was just not that little extra thing to give it an A+. But I still think it was great.
Yeah. I think the extra thing was that it managed to make a movie about Nazis that people were not going to be that upset about. I think like every movie you make, usually people are like, no, this is stupid. Like, we don't like it. Especially in our day and age, okay? The fact that he was able to make that movie and people weren't like up in arms about it, like... I think it was really
that's a success.
I really
But I mean, I would have understood if people were up in arms though.
No, I always respect people's what is it, right to be upset about anything, obviously. But I think like most people, I would say
like you can agree that like okay, it's not like bad or anything.
It's not like. And it's not offensive to be offensive. That's what I would say. Like, it wasn't
like,
just
if anything, they're making fun of them, like, the whole time.
Yes, 100%. Versus, like, some movies are actually serious and they're offensive. I'm like, you tried to be serious, and then on top of that, you're dumb. So, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good stuff. I'm excited for it, because this is, like, I would say the beginning of his career. Taika Waititi. He also directed Thor Ragnarok, for other people who might not know the first movie he did, but that was like his first hit, I would say. Thor Ragnarok.
So I'm excited. I like dark comedy.
But then he wrote I like dark comedy, and I can't believe he wrote the whole thing by himself. That's what shakes me to my core. Like I think a lot of people like to think they're good as writer, directors, and producer, whatever. Like they like to be the trifecta.
He literally wrote it, directed, actually produced it.
Yeah,
was in it. Like, and he deserved that. He won the Oscar for best. What was it?
A screenplay, right?
I don't know if it was adapted screenplay. Is that what it is?
Oh yeah, because it was based off a book.
It's based off a book. I'm pretty sure.
Which I do want to read, but now I like books, so
yeah. He won. He won best adapted screenplay, Skies. Which I think was well deserved. So
definitely, I was a big fan. It was good stuff. I think 2019 was. No offense to 2019, it was kind of a letdown for movies. I wasn't really impressed too much. So I would say like Parasite.
I was gonna say that's why Parasite stood out so much. I think because movies were kind of like meh, and that one kind of just showed up, and I was like, whoa.
Especially my favorite category, animation. I didn't think it was that impressive this year. Toy Story 4 did well for sure, but I just wasn't impressed. I'm usually blown away, and I was just given whatever. So I feel like. I mean, it's good though because it gave the chance silver lining.
Yeah, it gave the chance for I think people who actually really deserved the awards to win. So that was nice.
Yes, to get recognition because you can't have oversaturation. That does happen at times.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like this was we're not at the sweet spot. We need a little sweet spot from the movie industry and
it sucks because like 2020 it doesn't look too promising either. So
I don't think there's gonna be 2020. Are they gonna have to cancel the Oscars? Because like I don't know what's gonna happen.
No, because Oscar season's at the end of the year, so like all the Oscar movies come out in like September after September. So
all the movies that were supposed to be are being pushed forward. So then the movies that were gonna be done, whatever, are not being filmed right now. So I don't know.
I don't know.
It might be. I don't think they'll cancel it. I'm obviously exaggerating, but I feel like it definitely won't be. Like they'll definitely have to put an asterisk next to 2020 in like their records and being like
by a lot of movies couldn't get done around this time.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like there won't be 7 nominations because there won't be enough to nominate. Like,
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is maybe best year to start to make a movie if you're releasing because there's not a lot of competition. But
that's true. You better get on it.
I don't know
how you're gonna film it, but
I know. Figure it out. Very indie movie kind of.
Make one of those like movies that are told through a computer.
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
do that from home. You get the actors to like literally send in videos and there you
Zoom.
Exactly.
All right.
So yeah, that was our Roasting Movies by the Fire Jojo Rabbit edition. I recommend you go watch this movie if you haven't seen it already.
Yeah. Do it. What are you doing? You literally don't have anything.
Even if you already know what happens, I think it's still fun. Like we obviously didn't talk about everything, like the jokes and stuff like that.
We didn't say any of the jokes.
No, you have to watch them for yourself. So
yeah.
So hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to go follow us on Instagram, Flick Chicks Pod. And
follow us, like our pictures, like this podcast, subscribe,
give us a review.
Stars.
Exactly. Yeah. So we hope everyone's staying safe, staying inside, listening to our podcast inside. So yeah, we'll catch you guys next week.
Yes, we will, with a general episode, which I don't remember what it is now, but
you'll have to wait till next week. We won't give a preview this week.
You will have to. Yeah, we will not give it away. But yep.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.